Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the Gamut Network. A very interesting story I have to share with you today. I really love that the Gamut Network is not only focusing on people with disabilities, but those that are really making a difference for people with disabilities. And we have an amazing woman who's doing just that on the show today that I happen to have gone to the same college as. So that was a fun intersection of our life. So with that, I'd love to welcome Joann to the show. Hi, Joann.
Hi, it's so good to see you, Mindy, and
So
speak with
good
you.
to see you. I love seeing you. Can we just open up and sharing a bit about your background so that we can kind of guide our viewers to how you got to where you are today?
I'm a pediatric physical therapist. I've been working in the field well over 30 years, probably inching closer to 40 now. I've worked with children with multiple types of disabilities, from working in neonatal units to critical care to children as they get older. I've been there so long that I followed some of my patients from birth to their teenager and young adulthood. So it's been a long career of pretty varied work within the disability community with children.
Now, physical therapists are incredibly involved in our life with Oliver having muscular dystrophy. And, when you are working with kids, whether they're born with the disability or something happens in their childhood that they develop a disability, I would imagine you have story after story of the challenges of things not being instinctual. So, for example, Oliver never crawled. He didn't have the capacity to move his body in that way. So, what I learned through physical therapy is that, crawling, at least moving, is a building block to other milestones physically. Can you share with us a little bit about, the critical role that you have in terms of creating milestones physically when they're just either not capable of doing it or it just is not a natural progression due to the disability?
I think one of the things about physical therapy that I love is that we are able to problem solve. And for instance, a child like Oliver who couldn't crawl in the traditional way, part of physical therapy and being a good PT is finding an alternative way for him to move, problem solving. Every child and moving for a child is their first way of learning, of exploring their environment. It's how they learn. So it's really crucial for a child to move. So as a physical therapist, one of the things that we need to do is be aware of that and to find a solution. Maybe you don't crawl in the traditional way, but how can we solve that? How can we make it so that a child like Oliver or another child that may have some other challenge can explore their environment, can learn from their environment, can develop these milestones and move on?
I find that so interesting, though, because I think you're bringing up a really important point that movement and exploring your environment, it builds on developments, I'm sure, of so many other aspects of growing, curiosity, understanding, different touches and feels or smells. Or so if that capability of is of immobility, as you said, problem solving can help, expand what they do. So physical therapy is so critical to other, building blocks of childhood. So I think that that's, really important to kind of underscore for those that, see physical therapy as, something that you do post-surgery or to, loosen up something that was injured or whatever the case may be. In the world of disability, physical therapy is a lifeline. And it is, certainly a building block to other important milestones in life. Now, as you're working with your patients, and I know physical therapy, many times works hand in hand with occupational therapy. As you have worked with your patients and helping with everyday tasks, something that we feel very strongly about is being able to dress yourself. Does that play a role in your world also?
Absolutely. It plays such a role. Being able to dress yourself, there's that independence. There's also, I mean, I've been a supporter of runway since day, not only for the independence of dressing yourself, which leads to self-esteem. So many physically challenged children, there's that whole self-esteem. They're cognitively, which many people don't understand that, but cognitively they're fine.
Mm.
And it's hard for them to be dependent on mom at 12 to come and dress you. The other thing is to wear clothes, to be able to make the choice of what they want to wear and be able to put that clothing on independently. And that's something that as a physical therapist, you can certainly work with, helping the child. Well, okay, so maybe you can't bend down to pull those pants up, but let's figure out a way to, again, it goes back to problem solving. How can we make it so that, combined with, again, with the clothes that Runway makes, which are great, but how can we problem solve so you can be independent? Because then it affects everything, because you want to be able to go out with your friends. Well, when you're 12 and 13 and you go out with your friends, you don't want to have to ask your friend to put on your jacket for you.
Right. Or button your shirt, or, when you have to go to the bathroom, ask a friend to help you pull up your pants would be unfathomable and humiliating. So agreed. And that is probably, something that you have to deal with in the world of physical therapy. But I know you have a very special story as you have Dress Up that you allow your patients or clients to partake in. And I think something happened that actually really opened up a new world for you.
Yes. In my office, we do have a dress-up box, because doesn't everyone need to be in a tiara to walk on a treadmill?
I mean,
right?
I'd like to be.
Or a
I'd like to be. Yeah.
Absolutely, or in a cape, and we can all relate to that. So I had a young lady, a little girl at 4, and she chose a tiara and a tutu, and we were doing her physical therapy, and I said to her, "Oh, you look like a ballerina." And just matter-of-factly, she looked at me with these big eyes and said, "I wish I could be a dancer, but nobody wants me." And it just, at 4 years old, to actually feel, no child should ever feel that, but at 4, to feel that people didn't want her. And so I walked out in the waiting room without thinking and said to her mother, "I am starting a dance program." And I did. I started a dance program called Dancing Dreams in the back room of my office with 4 little girls, 4 high school students to volunteer, and Dancing Dreams was born.
And the little girl that kind of was the inspiration for this, what type of disability did she have?
She has cerebral palsy. She's very involved. She doesn't walk. Mindy, you know her. She's modeled for Runway. Veronica was one of the first models.
A
Runway.
young girl
awesome.
Who's in college now, isn't she?
In college. She's finished. She
Where does
wants
the
to.
time go, Joann?
She wants to. I watched her go from this little 4-year-old to this incredible high school student. I cried when I went to see her the day she went to her prom, all dressed up. I watched her model for Runway. I watched her grow. She went away to college, joined a sorority, and now is in her final year. She wants to be a correspondent. She's majoring in communications, and I have no doubt she will be extremely successful.
I agree with you. So now we have Dancing Dreams. How long has it been in existence?
It started in the back room of my office in 2006, 2007, but it just took off. Those 5 little girls within a month turned into 8, turned into 12, turned into 16. And I quickly realized, A, we were outgrowing the space, and B, we were outgrowing my capacity to be the sole funder. Yeah. So we became a 501c3 nonprofit, and in 2008. So we've been a nonprofit since 2008, and that allowed us to apply for grants and take donations. So that's where we are today. We are a nonprofit.
And how many students do you have in the school?
We now have, last year, 135 boys and girls as dancers, I know, and 189 high school students. And those little volunteer high school students morphed into a leadership program.
It's so beautiful. And I know that you do a big event every year, which is coming up on Sunday. And unfortunately, due to the world that we're living in, obviously we couldn't physically all be together to witness the show. So how did you pivot?
Well, no, yes, you're right. Every year, the culmination, we call it our celebration of achievement, is our show. Right now, we have 3 sites for Dancing Dreams. We have a site in Manhattan, a site on Long Island, and a site in Queens. So everyone comes together at the end of the year, and it's the capstone. I always say we're like a little tapestry. It starts out as these little threads, and by the end of the year, it weaves together by the performance into a beautiful, beautiful tapestry or cloth. And that's where we are. We do the celebration of achievement with no charge for costumes or admission. Last year we had over 1,300 guests, over 650 custom-made costumes. And unfortunately this year, because of the circumstances, we did have to cancel the show, but we didn't cancel it outright. We are doing a virtual show. We're putting together a show called Happiness, and it will be up online on Vimeo on the date that the original show is scheduled, on the 26th.
And how can people see the show?
They can go to the Dancing Dreams website, dancingdreams.org, and there is a link for the show. They can follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and there will also be links there.
Amazing. And I highly encourage people to go and watch the show. It is spectacular. I think it's what the world needs right now, to really see. It's a very appropriate name because the dream is coming true for these amazing students and Joann, what you have built. What do you think it has done from a self-esteem perspective for your students?
Well, I know that they've actually expressed that it has taught them to be proud of themselves. We also do every year, we do a workshop, a panel discussion for them on body image for people with disabilities. We bring in speakers who happen to have challenges, and we do a whole panel discussion about being out there as a teenager or young adult in the world with disabilities, what you should look for, how do you feel, how reactions of people. So we do that as part of our programming. But I know that they've all expressed that it's given them the chance to do something that they never thought they could do. And through that, through pushing themselves to limits, to see their limits, to push themselves to do things that they didn't think they could do, that they realize there are no limits. I can try things. It doesn't matter if I'm successful the first time. It's, I always say everybody plies, they just do it in their own way within our program. And that's really how we feel. And it's really not about the perfect plie. It's about dancing with your heart, from your heart.
How beautiful. And again, people can go to dancingdreams.org to find out about classes and where, the locations are, etc. So if anybody is interested, and can they also email you there, Joann, if they have further questions?
Yes, there is a link to email us on the website.
Okay, perfect. And what time is the show on Sunday?
It's going up hopefully by 1 o'clock, which was the time the show is scheduled for, but it will stay up on Vimeo. So if you don't see it on Sunday at 1, you can access it. It will stay up online.
Okay, perfect. Because depending on when this segment airs, we might be post the show, and I want to guide people to watch it even if they can't watch it live, please.
Right.
And now I like to ask all of our guests one final question, which I can't wait to hear what your response will be. So I really have a guiding principle that I use as a vision board, that I put my hopes and dreams and wishes of who I'm going to meet, or what where I want things to go I'd love the show to be on a network someday, things like that. What would be your hope or dream for Dancing Dreams on your vision board?
My vision board would be to be able to expand the program to more locations, to involve more children, and just keep it growing.
I love that. And I think you will. Look at that. You already have 3 locations. Let's keep it going. Absolutely. And if people want to donate, I assume that they can donate on your website as well.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Wonderful. Because we are big supporters. I think that what you have built is extraordinary, and it came from an extensive background of being involved with kids with disabilities and growing them, and really understanding how things like dancing, opportunities like dancing, are a direct correlation to self-esteem and confidence. So thank you so much for everything that you've done. Thank you for joining us on the show. I love seeing you.
Thank you, Mindy. I love seeing you too. We love Runway. Dancing Dreams loves Runway. It just meets such a need for these young people, and we love you, and it's just great. Always great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. If you would like to be on the Gamut Network, please email us at talent@gamutmanagement.com to tell us why you'd be a great guest. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Gamut Network, as well as our social pages at Gamut Management on all social platforms. Thank you again, Joann.
Thank you, Mindy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Be well.